has been left behind. I think that's very important.
You want to read?
Yeah. I'll just this last section, and that is what it will mean. I have been here before. I have been here with Diego Maradona, with John McEnroe, with Gundappa Vishwanath. Every time a player I admire walks away from the game, he takes with him something of what that game means to me. A sense of loss, of what Ian McEwan calls instant nostalgia, of feeling bereft, a dwindling of the attachment I have for the game. But on every occasion, I have found someone has stepped in to fill the void, not quite in the same way. In this most unreciprocated admiration between fan and player, each case of unreciprocated admiration is different from the other. But the chief thing is that, more often than not, along comes a player who rekindles that sense of excitement, that intense attachment we feel for the game. Lionel Messi arrived for me years after Maradona last played for Argentina. Roger Federer won the first of his many Wimbledon titles, and I was in thrall once again. Tendulkar burst onto my TV screen and into my life after I had despaired in the wake of Vishwanath's departure. And then came the other 5-3, along with Anil Kumble and Sehwag. As one by one, Ganguly, Kumble, Dravid, and VVS said goodbye to cricket, and as Tendulkar neared his imminent retirement, a spark seemed to have been extinguished from my passion for following the game. The batting of Kohli and Pujara against New Zealand in 2013 reignited that spark. The edge of keenness returned. Dhawan's effervescence lit something in fans on his debut, test debut, of course. Rohit's annus mirabilis came as a realization, much delayed, of enormous potential. Rahane delighted by marrying his unflappable nature with the abandon of his stroke play. As the new team set off on one sojourn after another in its first full year together, talk of regeneration whirled and eddied around them. Watching this process of renewal is one of the most fascinating things in team sport. How do these players, so inexperienced, most of them barely in their mid 20s, seek to fill the abyss left behind by a group of men whose reputations had assumed mythic proportions by the time they left the world stage? It is an exhibition of, to borrow from Philip Larkin, the strength and pain of being young. Renewal, rebirth, restitution, regeneration. Begin afresh, afresh, afresh. The spirit of it is infectious. In The Meaning of Sport, Simon Barnes quotes an American gambler as saying, "The most exciting thing in life is winning. The second most exciting thing in life is losing. But the gambling, the clatter of the dice, the unknowability of the outcome, the shredding of the nerves is all." It is a bit like that while watching this new India team take its first strides into the world. The hope that it will succeed, the fear that it will not, the fear of them losing, the unhappiness of having to watch them lose, the dread, too, of being on the cusp of a victory, because that situation is always accompanied by the dread of having to bear watching that triumph being snatched away. The thrill of following a new young team entails all of that. It is unforgettable. Just as unforgettable is the feeling of proximity to a historical unfolding sporting narrative. The feeling that, yes, I was witness to it. Yes, I was there when these boys became men.
Thanks very much.
Can I, with your permission, just you asked the legacy. I mean, Shobo made it beautiful passage. For me, the one thing, and we couldn't write in the book, just imagine, please imagine, and this is Sachin telling, last test, he says, I was batting 37, 5 minutes left for the day's play. Suddenly the host broadcaster decides to show my mother in that giant screen, and my gaze straight goes up to the Dwankade giant screen. The whole stadium stands up and starts clapping. It's a standing ovation for my mother. Am I to cry? Am I to bat? Am I to protect my wicket? I know it is my last innings in international cricket. I thought if that was not pressure, I don't know what pressure is. I somehow managed to play for India.
Great. Thanks a lot, Boria. Thanks a lot, Shomo. We've come to the end of the session, and I must thank all of you for having sat out very patiently to hear us. And Very interestingly, both are authors on Tendulkar. I wish them and the books all the best, and may we meet again. Thank you once again. Should we have? Do you have questions for our two authors? Yeah, sure. Can we have a microphone?
Hello. A very good evening to you. Since we are talking about the Tendulkar beyond cricket, I just want to know that when he was elected as the member of the Rajya Sabha, there had been lots of criticisms that why Sachin Tendulkar is joining Indian politics, that also after the Suresh Almani and all that corruption. Have you had ever thought about it with Sachin? What was his reaction?
Boria, yours?
Yeah, several times. I mean, and
We've got time.
we've got time. Okay. Several times, and I was again telling Mudar before the session started that Sachin has a vision for Indian sport, has given the Prime Minister a plan for a sports council of India, which doesn't only include cricket, but it includes all other sports from grassroots to, high performance sport. So it's for him, it's being a sports person, trying to look after the needs of sports people and taking India forward and trying to contribute in making India a multicultural sporting nation. That's the whole vision. It's not about making money. Obviously, he doesn't need money, as the other politicians may need money from sport.
I was with Shashi Tharoor and Rajdeep Sardesai and certain others at a panel in Jaipur 2 days ago, and this same question came up. And Shashi, particularly, given that he is a Congress minister, was asked this and said, why did the Congress succumb and why did the Congress do it? And his thing was, primarily, it was a decision to appease the populace. It was a popular decision taken to make people happy. Elections were coming up, and it was a decision taken purely to appease popular sentiment.
No, Rajya Sabha was 2012-13. Bharat Ratna was 2013 November.
Bharat Ratna is what I'm talking about.
No, he asked about the Rajya Sabha point. Bharat Ratna, I agree.
Bharat
Bharat
Ratna
Ratna
was
is
entire
different
that.
because Rahul Gandhi was there in Bombay that morning afternoon. It gets announced. Rajya Sabha was such when India was playing in Dhaka in the Asia Cup. So that's a different point altogether.
Yep. The lady at the back, please. Come on, let's give ladies a chance.
A very good afternoon to you all.
Thanks.
Well, my question is concerning, okay, when MS Dhoni retired, there was this strain of debate about him retiring, having played only 90 tests and not really caring about
Only
records.
90?
Or more, if I'm not mistaken. But, not completing his 100 tests or anything as such. But there have been a number of detractors who have time and again kind of pointed pointed their fingers at Sachin Tendulkar prolonging his career just for the sake of records. I'd like to have your thoughts on this particular inane sort of a debate that has been raised by many cynics over due course of time.
No, I think Tendulkar's career, to me, that final phase of his career from when he scored his last Test 100 and then in the 2011 World Cup, after that was a gradual dwindling. There's no doubt that he was nowhere close to the player that he used to be, even in the mid phase of his career. And there's something in the book, if you actually read it, you'll see Mukul Keshavan has done a very good analysis of the last 25 innings of Tendulkar's Test career compared to Ponting's, compared to Lara's, and compared to Gavaskar's, and you see that Tendulkar has the lowest average, no hundreds at all, only the 150 perhaps, and he really should have gone. And this whole illusory nature of that 100th international 100, which was as much of a media and public creation as of his, but he clearly was chasing after it. There's no doubt that he was chasing after it, which is why he hung on in one-day cricket, in a losing cause, in a match against Bangladesh, got that 100, and only then did he retire from one-day cricket. So perhaps to say that his legacy was tarnished would be an overstatement, because it won't be really. But he could have gone. He really could have gone before.
I really need to answer this. I mean, I absolutely disagree. She said 3 words: cynics, inane, and debate. I think that sums it up quite beautifully for me. I think it's cynical. I don't know what Mukul Kesavan has written. I don't give a damn about it. Frankly, I don't care for averages because often statistics is a complete ass. And having known the man really well, this 100th obsession that Shomo just said, this obsession was not Tendulkar's, it was ours. The fellow got 6,000 SMS messages a month, 72,000 in one particular year. Everywhere he went to, wish you for the 100th, from the hotelier to the receptionist to the ball boy to the lift person to the waiter. I mean, come on, leave me alone. I'm not playing for that 100th. I mean, even he played on after that as well. He scored that 100 in March. He continued to play on. I asked him about retirement post the World Cup, highest ever point, 2011. He's won the one-day World Cup. He said, look, had I retired that evening at the Wankhede, 2nd of April 2011, the whole World Cup would have been about Tendulkar. It was much about Tendulkar and Tendulkar's retirement. It would not have been Mahendra Singh Dhoni and the Indian cricket team. It would have been about me, and then your ilk, the media, would have turned it around and said, Sachin has made it into a personal event. And frankly, and this is the best answer he gave me. I said, people saying you retire, your legacy is being tarnished. He said, it's my legacy, right? I have the right and the duty to tarnish it. I will play as long as I want. You've not made me score 100. You've not allowed me to play for India. You have no right to tell me when I will retire.
No, but did selectors have or not have a right to drop him?
Of course they did. If you do not have the balls to go and tell him that, you don't need to play for India, that's your problem, not his.
No, so therefore, I think that's the main thing, that then conjuring up a final series, which really wasn't there, as we know. So was that not sort of making a spectacle of it?
He would have gone to South Africa. He would have gone to South Africa and played that 200 test match. Again, the previous series against Australia, India 11 for 2, the 81 that he got in Chennai, if you've watched that innings, and if you say the first 4 balls of James Pattinson, and if you say if Tendulkar was not at his best, then you don't know cricket.
No, he was. He was in best only in patches. But that's hardly Tendulkar, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Ricky Ponting in the last whole debate, 2011 series, Cricket Australia persisted with Ricky Ponting because he was on the verge of getting dropped, and they persisted with him. Mark Taylor in history, 25 test matches without 100 continued. How many examples do you want me to give him? But the fact is, Tendulkar in one-day cricket, Tendulkar in test match cricket, look, ultimately, media, will you retire today if I tell you to? Will a journalist retire if he thinks he's past his prime? Will a politician do that? Will anybody do that? What about Tendulkar? Retirement is his personal call. He will take it when he wants to. You want to criticize him, go and criticize him.
Thank you so much.
Question number 3. Yep.
Yeah, this is to Mr. Boria Majumdar. I mean, I'm not certainly drawing a difference between Kapil Dev and Sunil Gavaskar and Sachin Tendulkar. You're already worked up at Mr. Shomo's jibe. But the fact is that Kapil Dev and others didn't have the advantage of sports medicine. So what I'm asking is sports medicine, modern sports medicine. So what is the role of sports medicine, if at all, that has played in such a long innings of 41 years, and that's what the age he retired?
Mudar has given me one guiding word today, and that's anecdote. Sachin's 200 in Gwalior in that one-day international, February of 2010. I called him straight after the match, and he said, I can still go out there and bat for 50 overs. I said, how? He said, Paddy Upton has given me this drink with crushed cashews and fruits and whatever. And he's told me to take this ice, 2010.
Can you give us a recipe?
I have no idea.
Can you
I'll
ask
take it and
him?
give it. Yeah. He said, and he's sort of told me this ice bath, that ice bath. So, sports medicine has a huge role to play in keeping these people fit. Because if you know, Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev did not have the same incessant cricket as these people play. IPL and one-dayers and test matches and whatnot. I mean, a series would be three months with multiple tour games in the middle. And here you play test matches with a gap of 2 days each and then go into a one-day series. So it's a very different cricket world that these people inhabit.
Yes, in front.
Hello. If you just take into account that this is a man who has always liked to do the talking with the bat, do you think his career and his potential involvement and contribution to sports and public life in general post-retirement may just be a bit tough prospect for him than it was on the field?
Shomo, you want to answer that?
No, what are you asking? Whether his...
I mean, post-retirement, it is he who has to do the talking, not his bat.
No, he won't, because he's a reclusive guy. Why would he need to do the talking at all? He would do the talking with the bat as long as he's on the field. And now he's gone and he's a player. Now he's an ex-player. And that's the end of that. Then he can do business. He can set up what he wants. He can do commentary, which he won't, I'm quite sure. So, I mean, there's nothing.
He won't.
I don't think he will.
To add to what Shomo said, he's trying to do his bit for society. Again, Mudar was asking me a question about his philanthropy, which not everybody in the world knows because he doesn't want to talk about it. So it's not only about his bat doing the talking. We made much of it. Whether we make much of his post-retirement life, I don't think he's bothered about that. I think he's got his share of public limelight and enough of it.
Thank you. Thanks. Yup. Sorry there. The gentleman.
Hello, sir.
We'll come back to you, sir.
Excuse me. Sir.
Go on. We'll come back.
So, very good afternoon, sir. And thank you very much for your things.